Well, hello, everyone. And this is a very exciting moment because I am sitting here with, maybe you have read my post, which I posted last week, where I talked about a baby Scorpio, a friend of mine who's sitting here with me now, not a baby Scorpio anymore. Her name is Soumana Ammar, and I am so excited because Soumana and I met in 2010, if I recall correctly, in Dubai. We both worked in Dubai at the time. Soumana is still in Dubai. I have moved on to different countries, me currently being in England at the moment. And we've really clicked very quickly when it comes to all things personal development. And I can't believe that we are actually talking today, 9 years on. I'm sitting here with a baby Scorpio. And the reason why I'm calling Soumana baby Scorpio is because we were both born under the sign of Scorpio. So we're going to be celebrating on our birthday. And obviously she's younger than me. And so I can't believe I'm sitting here with you today, and we are going to do an interview, a conversation about your book, which has just come out a few weeks ago. And I am so incredibly proud of the work and everything that I do, that you're doing. And so thank you so much for being here with me. I would love to give you a hug if I could.
Yeah, me too. There is so much emotions coming out from this story, and
Yeah.
it took me back for so many years, and I would love to give you a hug. So once I'm in the UK next time, be ready to get a hug from me.
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready. So Soumana, very warm welcome officially
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you for giving me your time. I know that you've been absolutely flat out with obviously promoting your book, doing lots of other stuff. You're studying, working, obviously. And I'm going to go straight into it. I'm going to pass over to you a little bit to introduce yourself, apart from being a baby Scorpio. What would you like? I always ask my guests, what do you want the world to know about you? And then we're going to dive into that beautiful book of yours titled, Without Your Title, Who Are You? So there is a lot of that we're going to uncover today. We're going to talk a lot. So passing over to you, what would you like the world to know about you?
Such a great introduction. Thank you very much. I would like to the world to know about me that I really do not consider myself as one title. So today with you, I'm the author. I am an aunt for 6 kids. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I'm a hotelier, very proud hotelier. I'm a strength coach. So I represent so many different things. But what I would like people to know about me is that I actually believe a lot in really making our dreams come true. Mm. And the question that we have on the cover of the book is a question that I asked myself. So when I announced about the book, everybody was like, oh, this question is for whoever is reading it. But the story that we see in the book and everything that is related to that is actually my personal story, combined with coaching experience and ways to tackle this question to be able, by the end of the book, kind of identify or at least reach to a little bit of clarity or awareness of how is it important that we identify a certain purpose that we currently have and why we do what we do.
Yeah, beautiful. It is no small question, right? When you ask people like, who are you? Like normally the answer that we go out of, well, I used to be, right, director of sales and marketing. That's just the first thing that comes up is
and
like,
you were an excellent one.
Thank you. Received with gratitude. But yeah, that's just the first thing that pops up into our minds, right? Is like that title that comes up, or I'm a mom, or I'm a sister, or whatever. It's just always the label that we put into it. So let's go and start. Tell me about what was the impulse? Why did you decide to go and write the book? Where did it all start?
So it actually was written probably through me. I really believe in this, but I've always been a very big fan of writing and sharing my story. And in 2016, I actually had a picture on my vision board, you know, when you make your dream boards for the upcoming years. And one of it was how do I write and finish a book? And then in 2018, I went to an event where they were speaking about book writing and publishing. And back then it was quite costly to be able to invest in something like that. And then as the time went by, let's say fast forward to 2019, I've actually assigned myself a coach. And through the coaching journey, we've identified a few of the things that I wanted to really have. And the coach was more of like a personal coach, not from a mentoring perspective or the hospitality, which was the field that I was in. And then she was encouraging me to speak about my opinion on leadership, to try different places where I can actually voice my input and opinion, having seen that quality in me. And I was writing a lot on LinkedIn through that time. And it was when also COVID hit, right, in 2020. And through that period, I was like, the idea of the book was always coming in my head. Like, I feel like I need to put something out. Like now I'm writing articles, but there is something more that I probably want to really put out there. And during that time, when Corona hit, and so many of the people that were around us were going through a personal journey, each on their own, I actually was going into a kind of high self-awareness state, because I was having my coach, I was very much following everything that we're supposed to do. And then I even wrote an article about pivoting through COVID instead of it really like hitting us. And that was in 2020. But then I started to study coaching, and then I was, okay, so let's assume that I lose my job, because people were losing all the jobs in hotels. I really don't know what do I represent. So this was kind of an awareness or an eye opener for me. And I actually went into like, I'm studying coaching, I'm still a hotelier. Do I have to be one or the other? What do I represent? You start to get all of these questions, because now you're not as busy as before. You're not running on a rat race as before. So many questions come up. And then I call it in my book, an authenticity crisis hit me. Because when you want to know what you're really representing, you're like trying to understand your authentic self, like your really true self. And that was my serendipity. It actually guided me through writing one article on LinkedIn about, the title was actually who are you without your job title. That's what I wrote back then. And then it got more than 181,000 impressions on the topic. And that was my sign. That was my sign that I need to speak more about this subject. I need to really voice it out. I need to help people identify through their journey, their purpose, because I was going through that. And then I decided to actually pursue writing the book on that specific topic. So that authenticity crisis became my serendipity and became my kind of purpose of sharing the story.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think so many people, including me, can relate, right? Well, two things in there. One is the authenticity crisis, or maybe at certain age crisis, could be middle-age crisis, but could be also any other age crisis. And then the other one about, who am I actually? You know, what does it mean if I just take everything, all the labels away? And I went exactly through the same journey. You know, we worked together. We have got our careers are very, very similar when it comes to knowing the same industry, understanding how busy the industry that you are still in and I was in is 24/7. It just does not stop.
100%.
And so I went exactly through the same process. And so many people that are listening to us, I'm sure, can relate to that kind of question. Okay, who am I actually? What is this all about? So did you have, during the process of writing the book, did you have a moment when you were like, okay, so you wanted to write it, the sign came, it's like, I want to talk about this, so that I encourage other people. And then did you have kind of crisis in, can I actually do this? Because it's not a small thing to write a book, you know. It's like let me just write a book. One thing is to write a LinkedIn article, the other thing is to actually write a book. So how was that when it came to believing that you actually can write something like that?
Yeah, I mean, having worked in an industry where you really work on perfecting yourself, as well in an industry where you really like know who you are and what you do throughout my career. When I wanted to write a book, I really wanted to write it at a level where it's going to be also representing what I believe in from a value perspective. So I actually had I assigned a book coach through the publishing house that I was working with, and they guide you on few of the things related to the book. And yes, when people tell you you have a writer's block, it happens. Because you kind of put your kind of framework in place, you put your strategy in place. What do you want to write about? I actually included a lot of things that I had written before that inside the book, and I connect them there. But then you really have a writer's block. And the writer's block for me was an imposter syndrome. Because so you're actually a specific coach for that, right?
Yeah.
And then you probably can relate to more than this, because in the middle of it I was writing, and then suddenly there was 3 months where I actually didn't touch the book at all. And I was asking myself, who's going to read my book? Who do you think you are to be speaking about this subject? Why do you think people will be interested in knowing more about you? How will the cover look like? What would it be if it was not good? You're going to be a total failure. It's going to be successful. So many questions, so many saboteurs come in, and it comes from this imposter syndrome. And I had a discussion with my book coach back then to really try to unplug that. They put you back on track a little bit on the fact that why did you start in the first place? But my biggest input into fixing this syndrome, and until today, whenever I receive any feedback about the book, positive or negative, I remind myself of this statement, and I even share it in one of the chapters. I told myself, if one person, only one human being on this earth was able to benefit from my story, then I am more than content. This has really gave me a lot of peace in my heart. It gave me a lot of alignment to my purpose. And until today, when I receive feedback, whether it's negative or it is positive, it's constructive or it's personal, I always connect back to that statement that I did this because I believe my story could help other people. And if it's only one person and one person alone, I am more than happy.
Yeah, beautiful. But isn't that just amazing how our inner critic, how our inner chatter, how powerful that mind is, the machine really that we have, just, these little things between our ears, how much power it can have over us. And yeah, as you say, I am an imposter syndrome coach, and I'm absolutely passionate, the same as you, to help people to break through those limiting beliefs, because at the end of the day, it's all made up. Nothing is actually true. It's all made up. All those beliefs are coming from certain programs, coming from certain experiences, and they are all made up. They are the stories that we kind of feed ourselves with. So I'm glad that you've mentioned that, because yeah, for everybody who thinks that Soumana just wrote book just like that, and it was easy and it looks all shiny and glamorous, there is always work, and there is all process behind it that is not always as smooth as that.
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment and hard work. And then I wouldn't say I am now like you wrote the book and that's it. There is the inner critic every day shows up. The inner critic every single day can remind you of things that you might you have to tackle. So I always say I'm still work in progress, but having more self-awareness on that also gives you a little bit of the toolbox that you really like can identify. But no one will, it's an ongoing journey.
Yeah,
but it's the awareness and the understanding that this is there and it's not you, it's the inner voice. And sometimes it really helps you, because if you want to get rid of it completely, that's not good as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Pushing against it is not the way through, and that's exactly what I'm coaching my clients through. Well, but you mentioned something that caught my attention. You said alignment to my purpose, and I think this is so important. Well, a couple of things here again. People very often say, well, I don't know what is my purpose. And people often think this has to be this huge, grandiose, purpose, saving millions of lives or whatever. Can you talk a little bit into purpose? What does purpose mean for you? So you explained about your purpose, but in general, for people maybe to not be daunting by the word purpose, and also how important it is to be aligned to what we actually want to do, what we want to put out to the world, how we want to show up in the world. So that alignment. So can you talk a little bit about purpose and the alignment to that purpose?
Of course. This is a very close topic to my heart. And it's actually, when there are so many questions, and I don't want to be here like very poetic or kind of sound very cliche like others. You always ask, what are we doing on this earth? Why are we here? What is the purpose of why we are here? But then when you really start to dig deeper into what really like ignites your fire, what really makes you feel very happy, when you do something, let's say you are today going to help someone, there's an old lady crossing the street and you feel like you just jumped in and tried to help her. You feel good after that, right?
Mhm.
So this is something that probably is related to a sense of empathy or compassion that you currently have that identifies a certain value system, and then you feel, okay, maybe doing more of that would actually help me feel happier, help me feel that I am really giving back to the world, you know, because I always use this metaphor. For example, when you love, you give. But when you're like infatuated, you want to receive, right?
That's
So
beautiful.
purpose for me is kind of like you're giving from your side to the other side, whatever your level is. You could just be like a teacher who has chosen to just teach kids, and then you're impacting so many people around you. So purpose is kind of the road that you have chosen for yourself, that you have to walk no matter what, with life happening around it, right? So with you having kids or not having kids, with you having friends or not having friends, with you working or not working, with you aligning with your colleagues or not colleagues, there is a certain path that you have chosen to be part of, and you don't really misalign out of it. And when you misalign out of it, or you just move out of it, you kind of understand, I'm not doing something that really ignites my soul, my spirit, you know. That's quite very important. So for example, going on the road of identifying my personal purpose, I was like, which world do I want to live in? And then my purpose is like, I want to live in the world where people are inspired by their potential, like inspired by developing. They are inspired to be guided by their abilities, and then developing themselves one step at a time, right? So this was my personal purpose. So now everything that I currently do, if I have an interaction with a taxi driver, or if I have an interaction with somebody in the elevator, I feel like this really flows through me. You have a discussion where you feel, if somebody's not feeling good, you kind of say something that really lifts them up. So you kind of start to breathe that because you have clarity on it. So it doesn't have to be something that is you need to write a book for, but it could be something that is really small that you could make someone's day, and then you kind of feel like this is my identification of the purpose that I want to have. And trust me, the moment that you do one thing, it will have a ripple effect, and that ripple effect will have another ripple effect on someone else, and it would actually help so many other people, and you would be surprised how much it would. So my purpose is really aligned with growth and personal development. I had to go through it. I'm still going through it. I'm a forever learner. And this is what really makes me tick. It makes me feel happier. It's something that I do on the side. I still have a job that I'm really like happy with, and I enjoy it. But this really makes me tick, and I feel I can give more in that area. So it's kind of what really makes you tick. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It's just doing more of what makes you feel more connected to your human nature.
Yeah. Gosh, there is so much that we could unpack. So many things that you just said that I could just go like, tick, 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 can we pull this apart one sentence by one sentence? One thing that you just mentioned in here is, and I will actually say to that, because this just so resonates with me, what you just said. This kind of a mission, well, again, it's a grand word, right? Mission or vision or whatever we want to call it. But really, like, why do I actually wake up in the morning? Like, what pulls me, what fills me? And it can be small thing for me as well. It is helping people to break those limiting beliefs. That's why I work with people with imposter syndrome, so that they can really reach that potential. Because imagine if you were achieving things from the place of ease instead of from the place of pushing through those limiting beliefs. So that our mission vision is very, very similar. But it is so important also in the times when things are not going well. This is what I find personally, like particularly when times are tough, when I wake up and I'm like, I just don't want to wake up this morning. I just don't want to get out of the bed. I just don't want to go and do stuff. I just don't want to go and, do my preparation for coaching or whatever. This is when, there is some kind of personal stuff that is going on in life. this is when I look at my mission and vision and say, okay, this is why I'm doing this. And this is really the pull to help you through the times, because not all the days are happy days. And that's also not the purpose for us to have happy days all the time, because it's not possible. So very aligned to what you just said. So thank you very much for mentioning that. And
I'm really happy that it aligns with you.
Yeah, absolutely on the same page in there. And you just mentioned the value system. Values, as you were talking, you mentioned the phrase value system. And I feel like values are, we throw the word values around a lot. We talk about it, but we don't really take time very often to actually really understand what our values are. Can you talk a little bit into the value system? What does that mean to you? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I have a chapter in the book, and I'm not the creator of identifying values. I think every coach, no matter what coaching school they go through, they teach them about identifying values. So I'm not quoting anybody. I just I'm gonna mention what I have personally written and speak a little bit deeper about it. So the chapter is called Structured and Unstructured. So actually, it's like really structuring your life and understanding more of why do you feel certain things when people do stuff around you that really frustrates you. And this is how it triggered me. So there were a few incidents around me that were actually triggering me, and I was asking myself, and through also some of the coaching sessions with my coach, like, why does it trigger me? Like, why do I get so upset and so like not really enjoying a conversation with somebody who I kind of fancy as a person, and I like them, and they're not like really someone that I do not want them to be around me, but there is something that when they do, I just do not like. And this is where I got clarity on the value system. It's because my values and their values are not aligned. And when I'm talking about my values, so when we speak about values, we of course, I'm not talking about the ethical human values that are honesty. Of course, you need to really be, for example, authentic. You need to make sure that you are someone who is truthful. Like all of these type of values that are the common humanity values are the basis of our value system. But there are certain other values that are personal to us, right? So, for example, for me, loyalty and trust are in my very, very top high value system. So if somebody would be telling me something and then they change that story, it actually triggers me more than when they might tell you, because that value is in my value system quite high versus somebody else who might have it in their value system. You have most of them, but it might not be at the same level or the same impact for you. And they are kind of like your what you really want to be, you are kind of aligned with. And then every day when we're doing something, it's important to ask, are we really going away from our values, or are we really coming closer to our values? And then this is done in coaching, this is done in therapy. It's actually being used as the framework of, why does this action triggers me? How would I like to be perceived? Am I in alignment with my values? I think, for example, there are also certain values, quoting my coach as well, she says there are some mega values that we have that are like no breaker. And sometimes we also need to identify when our values are also not working kind of with us, right? So we are amplifying them, but we are actually neglecting some other values that we currently have. So it's about also being vigilant what values are in place at the moment in that specific situation. Mm-hmm. So we usually do value mining exercises with the clients, or even with team members, if you're mentoring somebody, or even when you're in a therapy with therapists, they also do value mining. There are so many tools for it to be there. You identify kind of your top 10 values, you have them around you, you're kind of connect with them most of the time, and probably go deeper in, how am I making this value in my life? Or how am I living it in my life? So for example, if family is very important for me, but I'm always working, I'm not in alignment with values, right? How am I living family if I'm not in alignment with my values, and I'm not showing my family that I care for them? So this is where the conflict starts to happen.
Yeah, beautiful. Sorry, I'm just making comments, the notes in here. So many things are coming up. Triggers, you mentioned triggers, you know, there's triggers for me is such a beautiful feedback to us. Once we understand that triggers are a mind of information, a wealth of information about what's going on inside us, we can really start turning the triggers to really powerful information of releasing the pressure that is actually inside of us. And that's why I said that, you know, you mentioning triggers, it's so important, I think. In this case, obviously, uncovering what my values are. Why am I not maybe aligned? Why am I being triggered by some other person? And this kind of ties really beautifully into what you said at the beginning about self-awareness. So for people that are that are listening to us and maybe have not thought about why do they get triggered or what is actually triggering, people that are not really aware of their triggers, I think this is our, Soumana's and my invitation, if I can talk on your behalf, invitation for you to start looking at what is triggering you, particular people, particular situations, anything that kind of makes you angry, anxious, sad, whatever emotion that kind of it brings up. It's a beautiful invitation for you to start looking inside you in what is going on inside you. Why are you being so triggered? What do you feel about triggers? How do you treat your triggers these days? How self-aware are you?
Yeah, that's very important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, so for me, I am big on journaling.
Me too.
Yeah, so I'm really big on journaling, and I actually I've applied something that I actually learned from one of my coaches. Surprisingly, she shared with me a book by Juliet Cameron. I don't know if you know that. Like she speaks about the 3 morning pages, right? So for me, I really journal a lot in the morning to get everything out. Yes, the artist way, absolutely, from Julia Cameron. And then the artist way, they tell you like, okay, you write 3 pages every morning, and then you reflect back on your thoughts, whatever is there, and you never look back at them. This has really worked for me. That's my formula. It could be something different to someone else. Of course, I'm very high on meditation. So I support anybody who wants to go into the route of meditation. You get a lot of like silencing your mind and getting a lot of feedback as well. When you're silencing your mind, you're kind of like relaxing in the moment, and then you start to, the thoughts will come and go, but it's also kind of sometimes gives you messages and reflections of why you're being triggered. But for me, when I write things down, I'm able to kind of reflect more on them, because I put them out there, and then I just can kind of go through it like systematically, unconsciously, you know. So I really analyze my triggers when I'm not in alignment through writing them down.
Yeah. And again, talking about that alignment, maybe people are asking, what does it mean? What does it mean to be not in alignment? It's basically simply you don't feel good. Like something does not feel good. Something is off. You know, we very often say like something is off and I can't put my finger on it. Well, something is off because there is some kind of misalignment in there. Yeah.
And you start to act a little bit differently, and you feel like, of course, you become a little bit different also with the close people that you have around you. And then when you're reacting, you're actually overreacting, and you start to ask yourself, why am I overreacting? It was something like really simple, but it's a reason of something else that might have triggered you. So triggers are feedback from ourselves. This is what I call them.
Yeah, absolutely. One big topic that we both have got in common is the topic of being versus doing. And we are huge on being. And again, like this is the topic that is so close to my mind. Actually, yesterday with my client, we were going through the being, going really deep into his being. Talk to us about your perception of being. What does it mean when we talk about being? Again, this can be such a woo-woo topic for people, right? So let's bring it down a little bit more to earth. What do we mean? What do you
I put my hand on my heart just speaking about it, because in the book I speak about it. I have a chapter that is called doing or being. And it's, if you ask me what's I don't have a favorite chapter, but it's actually one of my favorite chapters. I wrote it from the deepest part of my heart. It's a very, 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 very important for me. I speak about it with passion. I speak about it with purpose. I speak about it with alignment with myself. I really value that because, and in a nutshell, we are human beings, but all that we end up doing is only doing. We end up doing everything that's around us, and we forget to be. We forget to stand in front of a nice field of flowers or in front of a sea that is really beautiful, and then just be, look around. And of course, with everything that's happening with technology, and I'm a big fan of technology, but just with everything that's happening around us, with all the distractions, we're getting into too much being and less doing, too much doing and less being. So being is really just kind of being with yourself. I really getting in touch with your soul, getting in touch with your inner self, right? Your the thing that kind of sometimes gives you intuitive information, or you cannot really hear yourself if you're in this whole buzz and noise and everything else. You know, when you sit down and you feel like, oh, I'm just going to listen to myself and be, whether it is doing sports, whether it is something that you're not being distracted, just focused on that thing, right? It could be doing sports, it could be walking in nature, it could be swimming, it could be writing, it could be you meditating, it could be just closing your eyes, it could be listening to some music. You can identify what is being for you, but that time that you are with yourself, by yourself, ready to kind of connect with your inner self, that is being. Mm-hmm. And in the book, I actually caught a lot of authors, from Wayne Dyer to Dr. Joe Dispenza to also Deepak Chopra, and so many of them who have really spoken about the importance of being in our nature. And they were actually my teachers. From their books and their podcasts, and they're listening to them, this has really become so amplified in my life that I actually own my morning. And I'm, after reading the book from Robin Sharma as well, mm-hmm. the 5 a.m. club, like, you own my morning, and that 1 hour is me just being. It's me time, it's me with myself, trying to really align and identifying few of the things that I am looking forward for. It's just, you don't have to just be busy because you have to be busy. Mm. So there is, at the end, from chapter 3 moving forward in my book, there is I have a lot of like practical exercises so that it can also guide everybody through a coaching journey. So it's kind of like it coaches you if you're really serious about reading the book and you have your notepad next to you, and then you're really writing and answering some questions. In the doing or being chapter, I ask people to write not to-do list.
I love that.
We always write a to-do list, but what if you write a not to-do list? What has been certain things that you wanted to stop and you haven't been stopping? So what if you write a not to-do list and then you follow it by a to-be list, and then reflect on those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is such a huge topic, and it sounds so simple, doesn't it? Just sit in silence, just be with yourself. And this is very often the scariest thing for many of us, because then all the stuff comes up, all the thoughts come out, all the worries come out, all the future that we create that is really just made up, but we create a worrisome future for us. So just be is sometimes the most difficult thing to do. But once we do get into that practice of being, also, as we were talking about the alignment before, the action that we take, the doing that we do, comes not from the place of forcing something or thinking we should be doing something, but also that doing starts being aligned to that piece of being that we are. And then exactly. It's not about efforting, it's not about doing something by force, but it's about taking action that are, again, aligned to our being. And that is a very different, it's a flow, and it's a very different state of creating stuff, being at work, just having conversation with your partner, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if anything that you want to really put out, like any idea that you want to put out, it has come through a thought before.
Yeah.
Let's say whoever has created anything in this world, right? It has come first as a thought. They thought, whether it's the iPhone or whether it's the chair when they did it before, or whether it's the car that we currently use, whatever it is, it needs to come out of certain thoughts and imagination. But how can you imagine if you're always running, and you're not giving time for imagination? You're not giving time for you to really reflect, or you're not giving time for your creative side to come out.
Yeah, that's the creation. That's a big word. Creation is kind of stopped when we are in this constant doing mode. And, you know, high achiever here, the same as you, you know, you're like, it's just in practice. Yeah.
High achiever, high emphasis syndrome, work in progress.
Absolutely, all the time it's doing. So it is a practice. It is not something that is just, you know, okay, let's do it, because the doing, the nudge to go and do something all the time. Actually, my coach earlier this week, we were going, was it this week or last week? We were going through some of my stuff, and she says, your assignment for this week is to take 90 minutes every day and just be. We had to go back to basics because I've got a lot going on at the moment. And I was like, you have 90 minutes every day, you just be. I don't want to hear anything else that you're doing. So I'm right in the middle of my exercise right now with my
coach. That's really like amazing. And I always fall into the trap of doing again, and then I always catch myself and go back to being. So it's for me still a work in progress, but I feel different when I allow this in my life every single day.
Yeah,
I feel different. And I started to use different techniques. Like one time it would be just me walking on the treadmill downstairs, now that Dubai is hot. Or one day could be me walking very early in the morning when it's not that hot outside in nature. Or one day it could be just journaling, or one day it just be listening to soft music. For me, it's my mornings that are stronger, or late nights. So either or, but I prefer morning.
Yeah, beautiful. Was going to ask something, but just kind of went. But what do I want to ask about? You were talking about the frameworks in your book, because the book is also very, very practical. So this is not just about Soumana's story. As she said, this is really, she wants to really support all of us who read the book to have some practical tools to take with us and implement and integrate into our lives. So can you talk a little bit about the practicalities of the book that the readers can take with them?
Yeah, so the book is quite simple. So when you're reading it, you can definitely relate to a few of the topics. You could relate to one more, you could relate to a lot of them, you could relate to everything. So the way that I made sure that the book is out, it's because it's really tackling aspiring leaders, and they are from all sorts of areas around the world, right? So it's a simple book. And then when we start to tackle values, limiting beliefs, self-compassion is big in the book, the doing versus being. Most of these parts of the book have, at the end of every chapter, a call to action. So for example, the call to action for the doing or being is called call to be, right? So there is a call to discover when you're really like probably mining certain things. It's call to values. So there's different kind of call to action in it. And I encourage everybody to kind of do those exercises, because through those questions the transformation happens, because they could relate to my story, but relating to my story is one thing, and then trying to apply some of the techniques that are coming from a coaching perspective are something completely different, right? But in the book, I have to your point, I have a few frameworks that I have spoken about, that I kind of created by myself to really guide everybody in the way that they can read the book. So I speak about the framework of read. So I encourage everybody throughout the book to actually read stands for reflect, explore, advance, and develop. So they are able to go through the book with that mindset. I also speak about something called the euphoria of learning. you might have used the word euphoria for so many other things, but for me, it's through learning, coming from my value of personal development and growth. So, and this is where I speak about the euphoria of learning, and I share a certain framework that I had applied from my experience before. And I also speak about something that is called the purposeful possibility. Mm-hmm. So this is a framework that I also mentioned in the last chapters of the book when we're closer to kind of writing or helping. Now that we have unfolded so many things in the chapter, at the end, I would like the reader to be able to write their own purpose statement and vision statement, whatever they want to call it, and then kind of connect to it. And this is where I call it, it's the purposeful possibility, because it's a possibility. Everything is possible, but when it's purposeful, it's stronger because it's in alignment with you. And that's why I like to combine both words, like it's purposeful, possible. And we can really reach in our life so many purposeful possibilities, or so many things that we kind of want, but it puts you at that framework of what do I represent, what's my purpose, but in kind of understanding that it is possible and you can live it in so many different ways. And the last chapter is where we speak about self awareness, because my book is actually guiding everybody towards self-leadership, right? But if self-leadership for me is self-awareness, and if you are an aspiring leader leading teams, you need to lead yourself first. So we forget we teach them time management, and we teach them sales techniques, and we teach them so many other things, marketing, we teach them customer service, but the only thing that we don't teach them is how to manage yourself, because you're leading other people, right? So it's a self-leadership book. It's not a leadership book, it's a self-leadership book.
Yeah, such an important point, right? And that's why I love coaching people who invest into their own coaching. When it comes to that's my favorite kind of a client, who actually comes and pays for their own coaching because they are ready to explore themselves, and then as you talked about the ripple effect before, and then cascade that what they learn about themselves influence the others, their teams. Absolutely. Or family. It doesn't matter, children, spouses, does not matter, but it goes not only with us, but then the ripple effect is huge. So beautiful. Well, we are recording this on 23rd of September. I want to mention that because today is a special day, because Soumana and I, we are part of the walk-in meditation this afternoon, or for you probably evening, actually, early evening, with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So for all of you, and you mentioned him, that you quoted him in your book as well. And it is, and I'm just looking at my clock and it says 11:11, like.
It's like magic. Everybody connect with what we're saying, but okay.
This can't get any more, as my friend would say, woo-woo than this. Yes. Saying hello. But no, it's today. So if you are part of Dr. Joe Dispenza group today, if you are doing the meditation, you will see this recording after the meditation. But enjoy the walk. I will be doing it here in south of England. Someone I will be doing it in Dubai with thousands and thousands and thousands of people who will be walking and meditating with Dr. Joe Dispenza at the same time around the globe. And this is really a part of the huge community around the world, people that are passionate about personal development, about possibilities, about breaking through those limiting beliefs, because we really are human beings that are limitless. It's just that this in here sometimes can stop us. And this is where we want to break through and really touch into with our souls and with our potential that is in every single one of us. So are you looking forward to the meditation, Soumana?
Yes. I've read all the, I've done a course with Dr. Joe Dispenza during COVID, actually, the progressive course. Me and a friend of mine, and then I've read his books, and I'm a big fan of listening to him, and I've done most of his meditations. The walking meditation is going to be my first.
Yeah, for me
and
as well.
When I was telling a friend of mine yesterday who's joining as well, we're part of a big community here who really support the works of Dr. Joe Dispenza. She said it's an empowering meditation. So imagine, like, my last chapter speaks about empowerment. So similar to your 11:11.
Beautifully aligned, absolutely. Well, it's been so good catching up. What would you like to, as a last kind of comment or anything just to leave our audience with?
First of all, I would like to thank you for taking the time. I'm very, very grateful for you for taking the time to show my book to your community. I know you have a great community that is around you, that is following you, that you have impacted throughout your life, throughout your career. So first of all, I'm very grateful that you have taken the time to do that. It means a lot to me.
My pleasure.
And I receive your kindness with gratitude from my side. I'm really grateful. And my last point would be is for everybody who is not sure or not kind of understanding what is their next steps, is to really speak to a coach. They try to identify where do you currently stand and where do you want to go, because what coaches do is that they don't give you a fish, they actually teach you how to fish. So you can really be somebody who is able to tackle things as they come through your life, but feeling that there's somebody walking by your side through it all. So when you want to learn music, you put a music teacher. When you want to learn swimming, you put a swimming instructor. Or when you want to really like move on in your life, why don't you really get somebody who can guide you, you know? So I encourage you to really invest in coaching, invest in yourself. And I'm happy to speak to anybody who actually gets a copy of the book and has any questions about it. I can be contacted on the email that is on the screen. I can be contacted on LinkedIn, and I'm known to really be responding when questions come. Yeah. So I try my best to respond to as many people as I can. I want to thank everybody who has supported me. The book has hit a bestseller already on Amazon.
Congratulations. That is just so beautiful. Yeah, so beautiful.
I'm super excited. So I'm grateful for that as well. And I encourage everybody to invest in their personal journey. Life is so beautiful. It's full of purposeful possibilities. You just have to find them.
Beautiful. And curious question from my side. So what have you got? What are you planning into your future? What's coming up for you?
So speaking about the book, we're going to get it translated. So it's currently being translated to Arabic. Me coming from Lebanon, there is a community of Arabic speakers, and also in the Gulf, it will be very encouraging. So the next period regarding the book will basically be related to having the book in different languages, expanding it. It's growing wings on its own. So my next period will really be about marketing the book and speaking more about it, identifying the frameworks that are in it, and possibly working on developing some workshops from extractions of the book, because every chapter is a kind of a topic by itself. So this is my current focus at the moment.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, from my side as well, thank you so very much for all the work that you do. It is just so beautiful, really, when I look at those last 9 years, and how our journeys, me watching you on LinkedIn, have been very, very similar. The messaging that you are putting out there, talking about alignment, has been feeling so aligned to how I feel, the impact that I want to do. So just thank you once again for all that goodness that you are putting out there. And I think, one thing that I do want to say, because we do come from a hard corporate world, both of us, we do understand the business. We do understand very much the day-to-day doings of business, negotiations, being out there, hustling and all that stuff. And at the same time, we both feel really, really aligned to the talking, to the whisper of the soul and of the universe. And I think really, if you spoke to me 2-3 years ago, I would be really shy to talk about this, because I would think people are going to think I'm a woo-woo, or, I'm going crazy. But I feel the need for people like you and I, who come from that corporate environment, to start these conversations and start helping others to start connecting with that soul purpose, so that we can really feel and thrive from the place of alignment, happiness, and ease and joy, instead of just hustling and being hard on ourselves all the time. So this is where I am so grateful for having a beautiful friend like you, to be spreading the same message in the same way and the language as I do. And I hope maybe one day we will do the workshop together. You know, you don't know, you never know.
Yeah, why not? I would love to. And this is not, I mean, I still like, and you probably have taken a different route. I still work in the field that I am actually experienced in, and I love it and I enjoy it. But the way that I do it is more aligned. The way that I do it is more self-aware. The way that I make an impact is completely different. So there is no harm in you having that and also working on other things in your life that really trigger you and give you more passion. Like, who said you cannot do it all? Who said you cannot be like a Rubik's Cube? I speak about it as well. So I totally align with you. So I think we've been living a parallel life.
Yes, parallel universes going in there. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, once again, thank you so very much, beautiful baby Scorpio, and for everybody who
not
would
so
like to,
baby anymore.
well, still always will be baby for me.
Yes, baby at heart, 100%.
And for anybody who would like to connect with Soumana, of course, I will put the contact details into the post so that you can contact her. Please do buy the book. It's really a beautiful, very practical book, and do spend time on doing the exercises, because as Soumana said, it's all the transformation is actually in integrating what we learn, is in integrating in our everyday life. Once again,
thank you.
Sending you lots of love to Dubai, and enjoy the meditation today.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Thank you.